Volvo had just made their last diesel vehicle ever, period. Considering 50% of Volvo's car production for a decade, in fact, not that long ago, for a decade, was diesel, 50% of it. It's been a very, very fast and decisive end. And I'm curious to know, what are all the people who are manufacturing Volvo's diesel engines? Like, what are they doing now? What are all these mechanics and these software engineers and engineers? Where do they go? Well, we know where they went, sadly. Hopefully, many of them were able to be retrained in working on Volvo's electric cars, which they say are the future. They're going to be EV only within only a couple of years. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. Great to see you. I want to say a big thank you to our Patreon supporters. If you can support us on Patreon, that'd be amazing. Even just a couple of dollars is fantastic, because right now, everything really does help. I'll put a link in the description. Now, guys, Volvo have made their last ever diesel vehicle. It's actually going to go in a museum. If you're about to buy a car and you buy a diesel vehicle, Mike, I'm curious to know if you have this kind of feeling inside, the thinking to yourself, my car, how long before the exact same model as my car is in a museum? Right? And then you're driving around a museum piece. So just a little bit of warning there. Do you want to be driving something around that is considered like, a horse when everyone else is in a car? Anyway, Volvo is officially done with diesel. The automaker's 45-year relationship with the powertrain, which accounted for half of its sales between 2012 and 2017, officially came to an end a couple of days ago. More than 9 million Volvos with diesel vehicles were made since 1991. That's as far back as the company's records go. There's actually a lot more diesel Volvos than that, but we just don't know how many. The actual number is much higher, because for 12 years before that, Volvo didn't keep records for the diesel cars they sold. So the automaker's final diesel-powered model was actually an XC90, which rolled off its production line in Sweden. The next stop for that car is the World of Volvo in Gothenburg, which is actually a museum. I'm curious to know who bought the one before that, right? The final one, yeah, it's going to a museum. But what about the one before that? I mean, who bought that basically museum vehicle? The museum-bound premium large SUV has a turbocharged inline 2-litre 4-cylinder diesel from the VEA Volvo engine architecture family, which actually officially debuted in 2013. But Volvo did do a bit of work on it since then, so it's a bit more high-tech than what came out in 2013. That was just the second in-house created and produced diesel from Volvo in its 97-year history. The first, which debuted in 2001, was a 5-cylinder vehicle, which actually my brother has in his Volvo, that was manufactured at the automaker's powertrain plant in Sweden. That factory was switched over to making electric motors for Volvo's fast-growing lineup of full electric cars. By 2030, Volvo is going to be EV only, but they're actually suggesting that this might happen a couple of years early. This is a big shift, considering that in the 2010s, the vast majority of the cars the automaker sold in Europe were diesels. In fact, I believe about 75% of the cars they were selling in Europe were diesel. That wasn't very long ago at all. Things began to change in July of 2017, though. That's when former Volvo CEO Håkan Samuelsson started the automaker's aggressive transition to electrified powertrains, announcing that Volvo would stop further development of diesels at a time when nearly half of all new cars sold in Europe were equipped with a powertrain. Volvo CEO Håkan, I'm not sure you pronounce that, sorry buddy, but anyway, Håkan Samuelsson, that dude, I mean, you've got to give him some big credit. 50% of the vehicles being sold in Europe, right, were diesel. He says, no, stop that. We're going to focus on working on electrified powertrains. That's very, very impressive. But the fact that he said that in July of 2017, it's got to make you wonder what the hell a lot of other car companies have been doing. I mean, Nissan, what do they just say? They're going to bring out 14 new internal combustion engine vehicles over the next couple of years. So they're going to basically bring out new models for 60% of the internal combustion engine vehicles that they currently sell. Yeah, brilliant strategy. Anyway, That move coincided with growing pressure on diesel vehicles, including the threat of banning diesels from city centres in Europe after it was discovered that millions of people were getting cancer prematurely because of diesel toxic fumes. Now, this started with a Volkswagen diesel. Volvo's history with the diesel led to partnerships with Volkswagen and the former PSA Peugeot Citroën, now part of Stellantis. Europe Automotive News writes that Volvo's first diesel car, the 244G LD6, debuted in 1979 and was powered by a 6-cylinder diesel from Volkswagen. When Volvo launched its Drive E lineup in 2008, it featured a 1.6-litre vehicle diesel resulting from collaboration with PSA, or kind of what you call Stellantis today. Volvo says cars with that diesel could go 1,300 kilometers on a full tank and had emissions levels low enough to be classified as a green engine in Sweden. Now, of course, it couldn't really do 1,300 kilometers on a full tank. That was maybe if you were going downhill or you had a tailwind. But anyway, it did have pretty good range. But things have changed drastically since then, and the word green is no longer associated with diesels. Now, Volkswagen invented the idea of the green diesel, but we now know that it was complete garbage after Volkswagen had to pay around $60 billion for basically lying about its diesel emissions. The future at Volvo and everyone else is electric only. Now, at least Volvo see that. But unfortunately, a lot of other automakers, they don't. One of those, of course, is Toyota. They believe that by 2040, people will still be driving hybrids, internal combustion as well, and primarily, most of us will be getting around in hydrogen-powered cars. What do you guys think about that? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.